And I was so excited to put it on and watch it with my kid for the first time. And we got like an hour into it, and she was under my arm, and I looked over and she was crying. And I was like, Belle, are you okay? And she was like, I thought you said this was a Christmas movie. She's like, this is about a man who wants to kill himself. And I was like, oh my God, she's right. That is what this is about.
The movies and stories we love are gateways to see ourselves and God in new ways.
Every great story borrows its power from a larger story, the story that's written on our hearts and woven into the fabric of our very being. Hello and welcome to the Men at the Movies podcast. My name is Paul McDonald, and in just a minute, we're going to bring on Patton Dodd to talk about a movie that is not, no matter what anyone tells you, really a Christmas movie. But first, I wanted to let you know that this is the last episode of Men at the Movies, at least in this format. For over 5 years, this show has been one thing: people bringing me a movie they love, and then we talk about it, digging into how those stories reflect the story God's been inviting us into. I've done that for over 220 episodes with over 50 guests. And somewhere along the way, it kind of grew into something bigger than just a podcast. God put a couple dreams and visions into my head that are really just an extension of what we've been doing all along. And in essence, it's time for this thing to grow up. But before I go any further and talk about what growing up looks like, don't worry, no birds and bees conversation happening. I want to say thank you to a few people specifically. Sarah, Matt, Jason, Philip, JB, and Rob. You guys backed this show on Patreon and then on Buy Me a Coffee when there was really no reason to, other than that you just loved it and believed in it. And I know you guys are sad and bummed that I'm not taking your money anymore every month. But I have to say thank you. You guys have gone through the beginning of the show. You've been the backbone to show me that it wasn't just me that saw this. And I don't take your support lightly, not just financially, but relationally. And I wanted to say your names out loud before this podcast chapter closes. And of course, I have to say a special thank you to Britt Mooney. A random conversation at a Catalyst event in Atlanta started this whole pursuit almost 10 years ago. Thank you, Britt. None of this would exist without you. And when I think back on what I love most about doing this podcast, there's a couple dudes that come to mind. I remember Morgan Snyder coming in to record. I don't remember which episode, but he was wiped out, running on fumes, exhausted, coming in late. But by the end of the conversation, he was lit up. He couldn't stop talking. And then Dan Horner, we did a two-part conversation on The Matrix, but it took me over a year to track him down. I pestered him, and it's his favorite movie. But when he finally came in, we did a live one. He sat down with me in the studio. Like, the time ran out. He didn't want to leave. And he's like, dude, can you come back? I have more to say. And that's what our favorite stories do. They connect us to our hearts. They're like the exhaust port on the Death Star, a shortcut, a backdoor into talking about what really matters. And when we get there, we find that we're connected to God's heart too. And I'm also finally releasing the book, Unlock Your Story, on July 1st. It'll be available on Amazon, and for the whole month, we're going to have launch month pricing. So it's the cheapest it'll ever be. Unlock Your Story helps us dive into the stories that we love to help us unlock our own stories, because we all get stuck somewhere. And to ask ourselves the question underneath all of it: how can the stories that I love help me? How do they show me how to live a more abundant life? And to help you along the way, there's also a companion guide, kind of a study guide called the Trail Guide, to help you along the trail, the path, the journey. There's a difference between knowing the path and walking the path, and the Trail Guide helps you to walk that path. It kind of tees up each movie and tells you what to watch for. You've got questions that you can use to watch the movie. You've got questions to ask yourself after the movie. And then it's got a practical exercise to help you move along the journey, help you move along the path, and help you start walking it out. And if you really want to go deeper and discover what your specific stories, what your favorite stories are reflecting about the story God is inviting you to start living, visit unlockyourstory.org. It will help you discover what your stories have been trying to tell you. They'll help you see yourself and your story more clearly. And once you see it, you don't really have a choice other than to start living it. And that's a very powerful thing. Start at unlockyourstory.org and start your story reflection and see how deep the rabbit hole goes. So what's going to happen to this podcast? Honestly, I have no idea. This is the last episode I've got in the file. Every episode will remain available. I'm not deleting the podcast. But future conversations, whether about someone's favorite movie or about what they discovered when they started to unlock their story, will be available on the Men at the Movies YouTube channel from here on out. No more Spotify jail, no more pulling clips. Even in this episode, the audio version is going to be missing from the scenes that we discuss. So it's much better to watch us at youtube.com/@menatthemovies. Subscribe there so you won't miss a single conversation. But that's enough for me. Let's get to Patton Dodd and one of the best, not really a Christmas movies ever made, which of course we all watch every Christmas. And joining me from my old stomping grounds, San Antonio, is Patton Dodd. Hey, Patton, how are you doing today, man?
Hey, Paul, I'm good. Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
I'm very excited. I think we've been pinging back and forth for a little while, and so really glad we could finally sort of make the space. It was funny because even when I got on, I was sharing a little bit about how the gaps in margin I try to build into the day just kind of sort of kept getting absorbed by things. You're like, hey, do we need to reschedule? I'm like, no, I think we're good. I had like 5 minutes before you came on to sort of take a breath.
Good. I'm glad you're okay.
Yeah. And so so we're going to be talking about It's a Wonderful Life.
Mm-hmm.
This is airing no remote time near Christmas, which is where this movie typically lands.
Correct.
That's when it's played on TV and kind of hits the streaming algorithms and all that. But when I was watching it last night, it struck me as not really a Christmas movie.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, Die Hard's more of a Christmas movie than this one is.
I've often made the same observation.
So I feel that's my way of explaining why we're going to be playing it sort of nowhere near Christmas. But when you gave me a list of when we first got together and you gave me this list of a pretty eclectic group, if I remember correctly, it was this one. It was Ratatouille, Seven,
right,
and Tar, and then there was another one that I can't remember. Phantom Thread, yeah. That's an eclectic group of movies, man.
Yeah, it's true.
So what was it? And you actually said It's a Wonderful Life is your favorite movie, full stop.
So it's funny because like it's taken me into my like middle age to be brave enough to admit that this is my favorite movie because it's not cool. And I love movies. I'm a film geek going way back, and I started a film discussion thing when I was early in my 20s. I helped form a film festival in Boston when I lived there.
Oh wow!
I did movie criticism for a while for different publications, and so I take these things really seriously. In fact, my dissertation is on film. I have a whole chapter on Seven, by the way, which is why I mentioned Seven. Chapter 3 of my dissertation is all about Seven. Anyway, like I love this stuff, and I've thought a lot about it. Read a lot about it. And a few years ago, I was at a dinner meeting some new people, and I found out they were film nerds. And so I asked them, like, what are your favorite movies? And they started saying it, and they were naming cool stuff like foreign cinema and indie film, right? And they asked me, what about you? And I thought, for the first time in my life, this was like 5 years ago, I was like, I'm going to tell the truth. And I was like, my favorite movie is It's a Wonderful Life. And it killed the conversation. They were like, let's move on. This guy's a dork. But I'm here to, stand my ground.
There we go.
This is a beloved but underappreciated work of great American cinema.
Yes. As I was rewatching it last night, there was just so much nuance and so many well-crafted scenes and threads throughout this movie that kept connecting back to really what we talked about. And you said the line, and I was like, that's the exact line I wrote down, is this question of, we wonder if our lives actually matter.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is not really Christmassy.
No.
I mean, maybe more Christmassy than Seven, but
yeah. Well, and what's cool about it is that I think part of what I love about this movie is that it came out in 1946. It was the first thing that Frank Capra and Jimmy Stewart both did after returning from World War II. They both served in World War II. And, they were both popular public figures before the war. And they were known for happy, inspiring film. That's what they did. And then they come home and they make this pretty tough, realistic, except for the dream sequence, but it's rooted, so much of the story and the filmmaking is rooted in really tough stuff, psychologically tough stuff. And I think that's why it's lasted, because it gets into the dirt and the grime of how bad things can get for us, and is honest about those things. And Jimmy Stewart delivered a performance where he was very, very vulnerable. And it kind of, he later does all this Hitchcock stuff. It's very dark.
Yeah.
And this was the movie that kind of helped him tap in to the actor that he was about to become. So anyway, it's not what people think it is. It's not inspiring and uplifting. Ultimately it is, but it takes you through the grime first.
Right. Because the actual part where Clarence shows up is the last 20 minutes of the movie. That's
right.
It's not very long at all.
Yes. No, I learned that lesson the hard way, because I grew up watching it with my family. My mom loved this movie, and so I had seen it many times. And when I had kids, I was like, this is one of the movies I'm going to show them when they're old enough to start watching movies. And my first kid, when she was 6 years old, around the Christmas season, we sat on the couch, and I was so excited to put it on and watch it with my kid for the first time. And we got an hour into it, and she was under my arm, and I looked over and she was crying. And I was like, Belle, are you okay? And she was like, I thought you said this was a Christmas movie. She's like, this is about a man who wants to kill himself. And I was like, oh my God, she's right. That is what this is about. And I had, I'm in my, 30s at that point, and I had never really noticed it before. I think a lot of people who love this movie don't actually know what it's about.
Right. They just remember, every time a bell rings, or,
right. Exactly.
They remembered the Clarence part. Right. It's sort of like when I'm thinking of Rocky, typically unless you're actually thinking about it, the scenes that you remember most from Rocky are actually from Rocky 2. Rocky 1 is really sort of slow and not a lot of memorable stuff in there, but
yes.
And it's interesting to actually watch this movie start to finish, because you don't normally catch the very beginning of the movie, where it was, again, the sort of the film creation nerd in me of looking, and it's you just see sort of these houses and the voices of people praying for George. For you see Martini, and I think Bert and Ernie, and his wife and his daughter and his mom, and then it goes, and you see basically go into the heavenlies where there's these talking stars. But it's the line there when Clarence shows up. They're like, oh, there's somebody you need to go help. He's like, oh, is he sick? No, it's much worse. He's discouraged.
Yeah, that's right. What a wise thing to say early, and it kind of shows you how wise this movie is going to be. What a great line to have written. It's worse than being. He's about to die. But not because he's physically unwell, but because he's discouraged, and that might be the death of him. It's powerful stuff right there.
And that's, I think, why you said that lasting piece of this movie is because we know discouragement. That moment of breakdown, when he's knocking down the models of the bridge late in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that he's realizing everything that he longed for isn't going to happen.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's right. He is he was still holding on. Like, he was never going to be an architect. He was never going to build anything. At that point in the movie, I mean, what do they have? They have 4 kids at that point?
Yeah.
3? Yeah. And they're deep into it. Like, and he's up to his neck in his work and in his commitments. Those bridges are never going to be built, not by him. And he's probably never going to get to travel. Life just gets more and more expensive as the kids get older, not less, right? As we know.
Right.
And he's stuck, but he's like, he still has a corner of the house where he's working on, his dreams. And it is kind of foolish because he probably should have moved on by then, but he hasn't yet. And that erupts in violence, and anger and frustration in front of his family. It happens publicly for him, right? It's not just not just private despair.
Yeah.
He crumbles in front of everyone who loves him the most. And he's despising them for loving him, like resenting them for their very presence. Like, it's awful stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's brutal because we know it. We know that feeling.
Yeah.
As you were talking about the tension, I remember the picture of George Bailey lassos the moon.
Uh-huh.
And that is a tension, right? You've got a lasso on the moon and we're here on Earth.
Yeah.
And that tug of war where there's the life we think we want that we try to get to. Mm-hmm. And then there's the life that we have.
Yeah.
Again, even thinking of my reactions this morning to constantly stuff filling up my time of whether it's going shopping for my wife or taking my grandson to school or just trying to get some exercise in before we have this conversation. And there's my plans. I just read Psalm 2 yesterday. There's my plans, and then God laughs.
Yeah, right. I was thinking earlier about how there have been years where I love, watching this movie is an important tradition in my family, but there have been years where I have skipped it because I didn't think I could handle it, because I was afraid I was too close to, tearing down my bridges in front of my kids, you know what I mean? And yelling at everybody, yelling at my girl for playing the piano. Like, years where I can remember a year in particular where I had worked for a media company. They had let everyone go, including me. We were on unemployment. Like, we were, I had picked up food at the food bank. Like, it was a tough year.
Yeah.
We had a new refrigerator because the utility company, once you get on unemployment, you find out you can get a more energy efficient refrigerator for free. And I remember, like, this fridge had been installed and I was glad we had it, but also felt like I'm the kind of person who has to have the government come and install a fridge. I felt so low and I didn't know if it was ever going to change. And I was like, I'm not watching It's Wonderful Life this year because I'm at the low point and Clarence isn't coming. Like, it might just be that I'm stuck in Bedford Falls for the rest. And I also was living somewhere I didn't want to live. Like, it was kind of my Bedford Falls. And so anyway, I've also had years where this is a little bit more personal, but I lost my mom a few years ago. She loved this movie. She's kind of the reason that I love it. And since she died 8 years ago, there's been a couple of years I've skipped it just because it gets me too close to that grief. So this is it's the reputation of this movie definitely belies what it actually is. Like, what people believe it is and what it actually is. The text and the tradition of the text are not the same thing.
Well, and one of the other lines that Joseph, or one of the angel guys, said is, if you want to help a man, you'll want to know something about him, which again is just a beautiful mindset. And as you were talking, it's like, it's one, again, why this movie resonates is, it just slipped. Hang on. The magic of editing. One of the things that I talk about with this podcast is we talk about rated R movies because our lives are rated R. Like, if we're honest with our lives. And that's what we see in this movie is Clarence is sitting down and watching George Bailey's life, and it's not sugar-coated.
Yeah.
He gets to see all the ugly. And like you just said, sometimes we're too much in the ugly to really handle more ugly in that moment.
That's right.
Like you were just saying, whether it's grief or struggle or uncertainty about the future. And then there's times where you can look back and have gratitude because that same thing, like you can't have that. You don't get the payoff of Harry Bailey showing up to my brother George, the richest man in town. Like you can't, that doesn't pay off if you don't see all that struggle.
Correct. Yeah, that's right. No, and structurally, it makes a lot of sense that Clarence doesn't show up until there's only 20 minutes left. And, you know, the really tough stuff of the kind of dream sequence is, a small bit of the movie, but it only works because we, through Clarence, have gotten to know him so well. Every single, like, sort of plot point and line of that sequence lands. It's like every one of them is a cut, another cut on George and his psyche and his belief about himself and his life being utterly transformed, because we've met all those people, all those voices that you named that are praying for him at the beginning. Like all those characters have become familiar to us, and we know what he did for them, what he means to them. He doesn't see it, but we get to see it. And so it's just like, it packs up, man, what great writing. I'm glad you're like paying attention to the scripts and some of the lines. Cause I feel like I have I feel alone in my like close appreciation of this movie, because everyone loves it, but they don't love it the right way. You know what I mean? So I'm glad you
don't love
reading
it for the right reasons.
Yeah. That's fine. Whatever. I don't mean to be like a snub about it, but I just think there's more going on, and the reasons it works. I mean, they're kind of, you're onto it, and I really appreciate that.
So, you know, I think you were talking about the life cutting away from George, as you know, it came to mind that scene where he shows up at Mary's house. She's got the picture out and the playing Buffalo Girl on the record. And she's like, he's fighting because he's like, I didn't tell anybody I was coming over here. Why did you, like, he's resisting the world telling him what to do. Like he's got this, I'm going to be an explorer. I'm going to build things. I'm going to do all these things. It's funny. I have a conversation with this buddy of mine. He grew up, he watched the Dick Van Dyke Show, and he's like, oh man, I want a life like that where I'm making people laugh. I'm writing stuff and it's making people laugh. Yeah. And he goes on and he's, you know, he retires and he's like, he feels frustrated because that didn't happen. But as he started thinking about it more, like he would have these leadership sessions where he would be on stage doing things that would make people laugh, like intentionally. Yeah. He's like, wait, I was doing the thing I wanted to do. It just didn't look like what I thought it would look like. George is building things. He is, you know, taking what would have been, you know, this graveyard or this empty space, and it turned into Bailey Park. That's right. But it wasn't the way he wanted to do it. It didn't look like how he thought it would. And so let's pull up the clips. Okay. And you said like years ago you had written an article about it, and you used these same 3 clips. So
these have been on my mind for a long time. And I was telling you, I didn't like go back to the article and remember what I wrote about. It was only this morning that I was like, didn't I write about this years ago? And I looked it up and I was like, oh my gosh, this was like 15 years ago. I'm talking about the exact same scenes.
I'm stuck.
or at least a couple of them. Yeah, I'm stuck or they're just that important. Like they're the things that kind of my brain summons up when I think about this movie. So I'm excited to watch them with you.
Yeah. And it's, I think the what you would call them is these are anchor scenes. Especially, you know, as we looked at one of how we looked at storytelling. Yeah. You are the executive director of storytelling, so that matters to you.
Yeah.
Plus your heart and your mission and what you're doing that we'll talk about some more.
Yeah.
You know, and we see to me, it's almost like I said, where these chains are anchored into this movie and into this story that are like that's what the connection is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this first scene's pretty early in the movie. It's, we're not going to do a lot of build up for a movie that's over 60 years old. But it's a very important scene because of all the things that we've been talking about, of what this shows, how it shows you who George is and everybody else around him. George is a young man. He just got done saving his brother Harry from drowning. He's got his sore ear. He's back to work for Mr. Gower, the druggist. And we're going to go from there.
Great. Let's do it.
George! George!
Yes, sir?
You're not paid to be a canary?
No, sir. Mr. Gower, do you want something? Anything?
No.
Anything I can do back here?
No.
I'll get them, sir.
Take those capsules over to Mrs. Blaine. Just wait for him.
Yes, sir. They have the diphtheria there, haven't they, sir?
Yeah.
Is it a charge, sir?
Yes, George.
Mr. Gower, I tell
Oh, get going!
Yes, sir.
Fast there, Captain Cook. Where you heading?
Gotta see Papa, Billy.
Some other time, George.
It's important.
There's a squall in there. It's shaping up into a storm.
Uncle Billy, telephone.
Who is it?
Bank examiner.
Bank examiner. Should have called him yesterday. Switch it inside.
I'm not crying, Mr. Potter.
Well, you're begging. That's a whole lot of work.
Well, all I'm asking for is 30 days more. Just a minute, son. Just 30 short days. I'll dig up that 5,000 somehow.
Shut me up, shut me up.
Pa,
Just
Have
a
you
minute.
put any real pressure on these people of yours to pay those mortgages?
Times are bad, Mr. Potter. A lot of these people are out of work.
Well, foreclosed.
I can't do that. These families have children.
They're not my children.
But they're somebody's children, Mr. Potter.
Are you running a business or a charity war?
Well, all I'm-
Not with my money.
Mr. Potter, what makes you such a hard-skulled character? You have no family, no children. You can't begin to spend all the money you've got.
Oh, I suppose I should give it to miserable failures like you and that idiot brother of yours to spend for me.
he's not a failure. You
George,
can't say
George.
that about my father.
George,
You're
George.
not. You're the biggest man in town.
Run along.
Bigger than him.
Run along.
Bigger than everybody.
Very
Give
busy,
you an
Mr.
idea of the
Potter.
Baileys.
Don't let him say that about you, Pop.
All right, son. All right. Thanks. I'll talk to you tonight.
Well, what's the answer?
What? Why, that medicine should have been there an hour ago. It'll be over in 5 minutes, Mr. Blaine. Where's Miss Blaine's voice of capsules?
Bill.
Did you hear what I said?
Yes, sir.
What kind of tricks you playing away? Why didn't you deliver them right away? Don't you know that boy's very sick?
You're hurting my sore ear.
You lazy loaf.
Mr. Gower, you don't know what you're doing. You put something wrong in those capsules. I know you're unhappy. You got the telegram and you're upset. You put something bad in those capsules. It wasn't your fault, Mr. Gower. Just look and see what you did. Look at the bottle you took the powder from. It's poison, I tell you, it's poison. I know you feel bad.
Oh.
Don't hurt my Sawyer again.
Oh, no,
Don't hurt
no,
my
no.
Sawyer again.
Oh, George. George.
Oh, Mr. Gower, I would never tell anyone. I know your feeling. I would never tell so. Hope to die, I won't.
I have to start with just my admiration for what Frank Capra is doing as a filmmaker, because like we see the whole movie telegraphed in about 6 minutes of film time. You know, when he first comes into the soda shop and apothecary, there's a little bit we didn't see there where he, you know, we hear from Mary, we see Violet, we hear about George's travel ambition and how important it is to him to get out and get into the world and how he knows he's going to do it. We also, you know, we meet Mr. Potter, we meet Uncle Billy, we see this tensions between the class tensions that are at the heart of this movie between renters and homeowners and how the systems work to sort renters and loaners and what the Baileys are trying to do about it. And, you know, the father that George had that he loves and admires and is willing to defend, whose name he's willing to defend, like all that happens. Plus this like young George being faced with a real crisis. There's an authority figure who cannot be reasoned with in that moment, and he doesn't know what to do. And his dad can't. As important as that scene is, his dad doesn't give him what he came for.
Right.
That doesn't give him counsel. He has to act alone and try again to get Mr. Gower's attention. And he does it. Like, he friggin' does it. Like, it's like hard. Mr. Gower does not want to be messed with. And like another thing I'll say about just the filmmaking that I think reinforces what I'm saying about how hard it is for him to get through to Gower is that, like, in almost every shot of that sequence, Mr. Gower is like framed within frames. Like he's behind the counter, he's behind the apothecary window, he's between the bottles. We see him between the shelves, above and below his face. Like, he's really tightly kind of composed in each shot. And then at the very end, when he gets on his knees and gets at George's level and hugs him, the camera like pulls in and we kind of see him unencumbered. It's amazing. Like, it's just so well done. So I love what Capra, all the choices that he makes there. But then also, you know, like it tears me up every time I watch it, because that's often the first time I cry when I watch this movie is when he's, and my kids do too, like when he's hitting his sourier and it's bleeding, like the violence of that is real. And he's terrified. Young George is terrified. And then you see Mr. Gower, like the look on that, I forget that actor's name, but the look on his face when he tastes the poison and the light bulb comes on and he's like, oh my God, I almost just killed someone. And he's still, I'm about to start crying just telling you about it. He, you know, like I said, he gets on George's level and hugs him, and he's both comforting him, like, it's okay, I understand now. And he's thanking him, like, you just saved my life. And of course, in the dream sequence, Mr. Gower is called a jailbird. Like, you know, he went to prison for this crime that he would have committed without George Bailey intervening. So, I mean, it's marvelous.
Which is, again, he's a jailbird, which is why those shots were made that way, to frame him. To make it like he's shown in prison until George's intervention.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's, and people are like, oh, like my wife's like, you read too much into movies. I was like, no, this is actually why that shot was made. That, like, you do everything intentionally.
Those are choices.
If you're a good filmmaker, if you're not, you just kind of do whatever happens. So I wrote down, like, the question hit me of, like, what does this scene tell us about George? And like you said, this is sort of a smaller portion of a bigger one where we see Mary and Violet and his friends and all this stuff. But he sees a need and he engages. Like he's
right.
like, oh, Mr. Gower, he's kind of grumpy. He's not acting right. There's this telegram. Oh, he lost his son died. And he immediately goes and checks on him.
Mm-hmm.
He's thoughtful, pays attention. He's like, oh, you just put the wrong pills in. But sort of tries to respect authority until it sort of becomes impossible not to.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Goes to his dad, trusts his dad, sees his, he has that father figure role. And I love that dinner scene later where Harry's graduating and George and his dad are having that conversation at dinner. And it's just, just such a good, it's just such a good, rich conversation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But then
I like what you're saying in part because he drops everything that he should be doing. Really, he drops his responsibilities in order to do a more important thing.
Yeah.
In order to like really care for someone. In this case, caring for someone we don't ever even meet. A sick kid somewhere in Bedford Falls, right?
Right.
But he should be at his job running the store. He leaves the store unattended. But it's because he sees like a higher calling in that moment. And we also see George do that again and again in his life.
Right. He does the right thing even when it costs him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, my sore ear, the ear is bleeding and he's taking a beating.
Yeah.
Doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And that's sort of that's going to, like you said, that's the message the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
He's going to do the right thing and his heart's going to take a beating because he's giving up a piece of himself every time these moments happen.
That's right. Yes. He saves up for a number of years in order to leave town. And then the board says, if you leave town, we're going to give the Bailey building and loan to Potter. And so he gives all his money to his brother and stays home. And then that kind of thing happens again and again. He's about to go on his honeymoon and to intervene in the banking crisis. He gives the community all of his money and loses his really one chance to leave, closest he's ever going to get to leaving. Mm-hmm. And he drops, and these are all like instantaneous decisions. We don't see him wrestling with what do I do? He just does it. He just like acts out of, I don't know, virtue, out of character. I don't know what it is. There is some essential goodness in him that he will always respond to in a crisis.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting, the way you just framed it, because you see him, your son Robert just died, and he goes and engages with Gower. He's on a date with Mary, one of the most amazing dates it looks like ever in the history of dates. And his dad has a stroke, and he gives up his trip to Europe.
That's right. Yeah.
And then if you don't do it, one of the things his dad said was, Potter wants everybody to just sort of go to their knees and bow before him and just give everything to him. And it takes a special kind of person to stand up to a guy like Potter. Mm. And time again, whether it's Harry, there's this whole other article and way of looking at it on the art of manliness. It sort of talks about the seething nature of George Bailey and like how he chose his hard. Like he could have chosen differently. He should have chosen to fire or put Uncle Billy in charge of something else. Mm-hmm. That's that right. Would have saved a lot.
He doesn't make all his choices are not good ones. That's for sure.
Yeah. But when that happens to us, because it does, and I love that, like, not all our decisions as men are good ones. We don't always make the right ones. And there's moments that, like George, things keep happening to us that sort of shave off our dreams, our hopes, the life we expected to live. And we get to this moment where it's almost like the precursor to the big moment. Mm-hmm. And we see George, we're going to go to our next clip, where Mr. Martini is moving out of Potter's slums, where he's probably paying more in rent than he's going to in a mortgage payment. He's moving out. George is there to christen the new house and welcome them in. But then his buddy Sam shows up, who's rich and explores and does all the things that George wishes he could have done. And in this moment that should be celebrating or celebrated, we see the first sort of inklings that maybe everything's not right with George.
Yeah.
Martini! You rented a new house?
Rent? You hear what he said, Mr. Bailey?
What's that?
I own the house. Me, Giuseppe Martini, I own my own house. No more we live like a pigs in this Paris field.
One more, after.
Marie!
Harry, come on, bring the baby. I'll take the kids in the car.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Bailey. Thank you.
All right, kids. Here, get in here. One at a time, get right up on the seat there. Here now. Get the dog. That's it. You got it. Go.
Everybody,
Hold it. All right, we're fine.
Bye-bye.
All in. Mr. and Mrs. Martini, welcome home.
Good old George, he's always making a speech.
Hee-haw! Sam Wainwright up.
Oh, who cares? Bread, that this house may never know hunger. Salt, that life may always have flavor.
And wine, that joy and prosperity may reign forever. Enter the Martini Castle.
We just stopped in town to take a look at the new factory, and then we're going to drive on down to Florida.
Oh,
Why don't you have your friends join us?
Why, sure. Hey, why don't you kids drive down with us, huh?
Oh, I'm afraid I couldn't get away, Sam.
Still got the nose to the old grindstone, eh? Jane, I offered to let George in on the ground floor in plastics, and he turned me down cold.
Oh, now don't rub it in.
I'm not rubbing it in. Well, I guess we better run along.
Awfully happy to have met you, Mary. Nice
Goodbye.
meeting you. Bye,
Jane,
George.
glad to see
So long, George. See you in the funny
Goodbye,
paper.
Sam.
So long, Mary.
Sam. Have fun.
Thanks for dropping her out.
Florida.
Hee-haw!
Anchor number 2.
Yeah. I love that we're watching this scene because I don't think anyone would think of this as like a really key scene in It's a Wonderful Life. In fact, when we were talking over email the other day and you were talking about which scenes, I thought, I wonder what like the internet thinks the top, most important scenes are. I think I asked ChatGPT for the top 20 scenes or whatever in key scenes in this movie, and this was not one of them. And I don't think it's like one that is memorable for most people, but it's key for me because we see George, you talked about it a little bit earlier, but we see him doing some of the most important work he's doing really in his whole life. He is building. He's building homes. He's building a whole community. Mm-hmm. He's building a subdivision, like a suburb, basically, because all the houses look the same and those roads are wider, I'm sure, than they are in central Bedford Falls. But he's giving people opportunity. And I love that we see them doing the hard work of moving them out of squalor in the rental units that Potter is running, and driving out to the outskirts of town into a place that is clean and tidy and is like ownable, right? Yeah. And I love how this scene opens up. Like the first line in the scene is Martini saying, I own the house. Like, me, Giuseppe Martini. Like, it's like, this is mine. And we've heard, I think it's earlier that we've heard Potter refer to like the quote unquote garlic eaters, that Bailey is providing homes for. That like it's a racist slur towards Catholic Italian immigrants that were thought to be clean and not hardworking. I'm sorry, unclean and not hardworking, and just spewing invective towards these newcomers to the country. And it's so powerful, like all that kind of social subtext is happening here. And in the middle of it, and also we get this beautiful blessing that I've used a couple times in life. Bread that this house may never know hunger, salt that life may always have flavor, and wine that joy. I wish I could do a good Jimmy Stewart voice. That joy and prosperity may reign forever. It's so beautiful. That's what you should do every time one of your friends gets a new house.
Right.
But as you also mentioned earlier, in the midst of it, George is miserable. Jimmy Stewart is like performing these scenes in tension. He's doing a really important thing. He's changing the Martini family's life. He's building wealth for that family and his kids. And yet he is not satisfied in it. He's miserable. He's very self-conscious. His rich friend is across the street. It makes him feel very small. And then he kicks the door out of anger at the end. He's not at all. He's just done something marvelous for the Martini family and for his community. And he ends it in frustration. Yeah. It's pathetic, actually, but we can relate. I think
100%. Yeah. I've talked a lot about my grandson, and, my daughter and grandson live with us and they have been for over 2 years now. And there's days where I'm frustrated because, my daughter's working, so I'm watching him and I get frustrated.
Yeah.
And I feel because I'm not doing the things that I want to be doing.
Yeah.
And, I love that scene for that reason. It's like, you don't even know, like, he never says it, right? He never says
That's
why.
Right.
And there's a piece of it in the middle where this guy's talking about how amazing Bailey Park is, this place where all these houses are being built. And he's like, that guy's on the rise.
Yep.
And then the scene immediately after is Potter trying to woo him over. It's like, I'm going to give you $20,000 a year. You'll go to Europe. You'll go to New York City. You'll have you'll have everything you think you want. All you have to do is give up your job at the building and loan.
That's right.
And he actually thinks about it for a second.
Yeah.
But there's an interesting thing because we look for these nuances, right? What does Mr. Martini say? I am leaving this Potter's Field. That is where the slums were. And I was like, that's a familiar term. What is Potter's Field? Potter's Field is a public burial ground for indigent, unclaimed, or unknown individuals.
Yeah.
It actually comes from the Bible to describe where the chief priest buried Judas.
Yeah.
And serves as a resting place for poor, unidentified persons or those whose families cannot afford a traditional funeral. And you don't name this place Potter's Field by accident.
No, right.
You are saying something very powerful that is Potter's outlook. These people aren't really people.
Yeah.
They don't deserve a chance.
That's right. Yeah.
And, I'm glad that all this stuff is all, in 2026 now. Everything's fine now with all these things. But what does George do? Like you were saying, is like he gives Martini dignity. That's not just going to change that family. It's going to change their family for generations to come.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. No, he
loses
part
sight
of it is like the Potter, there's like a Potter view of the world and there's a Bailey view of the world, right? And the Potter view of the world is that I will acquire as much as I can. I see people as leverage, as objects to control, as like pieces to move around on my game board. I see them for their economic value to me. These he lost a renter, that's like passive income he would keep getting from Martini forever, and keeping people in that situation for their whole lifetimes was Potter's whole vision, because he obtains more and more and more. And the Bailey early on, there's this in the earlier scene we watched, there's a piece of it where George Bailey's dad is like sitting right in front of Mr. Potter, and he's asking him like, "What's wrong with you, Potter? Like, why are you this way?" Like, what's wrong with like a man and his family having a roof over their heads and a place to call home that is stable? And Potter's like, well, can they pay for it or not? Like, and Bailey responds with saying, well, they can, but it's going to take them some time. Like, the times are hard right now.
Yeah.
And this, this part of what is so powerful about this movie, it comes out, and it actually, the kind of the whole time frame of this film, it starts just after World War I and ends just after World War II. And we've gone through 2 world wars and a Great Depression. Like, America has just and we see all that in this movie. And that's part of the battle between Potter and Bailey is happening in the throes of America's Great Depression. And what are we going to be? What kind of country are we going to be? What kind of community are we going to be? Are we going to try to, extend opportunity across our communities, or are we going to control as much of it as we can at the top? Like, we're still having that argument, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And it's not a political argument.
No, it's not.
It's biblical. I mean, Potter's Field is a term coined from the Bible.
Yeah.
This is where we put the trash. Yes. And how many people look at the other, whether it's the other political party, whether it's immigrants, whether it's ICE agents, whoever it is these days, if they don't agree with you, they're the other, they're the enemy, they're the trash.
Yeah.
And that's a Potter way of living.
Yeah.
Like you said, Bailey just stole a renter.
Mm-hmm.
And I never looked at it like you sort of in this battle, he just won somebody, and
that's right.
If you're looking at it with faith, that's just heaven or hell just lost another one. There's that worship song that says something like that. And
that's right. No, it's about the, there are sides battling for basically the market of people. But one side of the debate over the market is the contest of the market is also remembering that these are human beings.
Yes.
And not just members of the market. And the rent collector that you were talking about earlier, who's telling Potter, you have a problem with this Bailey Park. The stat he quotes, he says there's dozens of new homes and 90% of them are owned by former Potter renters. Like this is your market share leaving because they have a better opportunity somewhere. But it's because, and Potter makes the point, well, that might be true, but the Baileys aren't making any money off of it. And the rent collector's like, yeah, I know, but they don't seem to care. That's not why they're in it.
Yeah, he's like, that's a dumb idea because how can I make money? And
right.
It's almost like the customer service. If I have a problem with something and I go to the place and they harass me if their service wasn't, whether it's a delayed shipping or a shipping problem that they lost my package or whatever, or something happened. You know what would keep me as their customer is if they listened, treated me like a human being, or like, oh man, that has to be frustrating. How can we make it right?
Mm-hmm.
What do we need to do to keep you as a customer? Not just throw me, hey, I'm sorry we lost your package and ignored your emails for 2 weeks, but we're going to send you another one.
Yeah.
It was like, no, I'm never doing business with you again. But the cost of it is say they went out of their way. They did something amazing. It was like, oh, you have a customer for life now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you see with George is, Potter saw the people as consumers and he wanted to leverage. They're not making money. Their purpose of existence was to make him money.
Yep, that's right.
And George cared about the community. He cared about the family. Yeah. He cared about Mr. Gower and Mr. Martini and Bert and Ernie and the Violet, right?
Right.
And he made their lives better simply through his existence and his presence.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's when we move from the kind of market analysis, like look at It's a Wonderful Life, to the George Bailey stuff and how he cares about people, it can sound a little idealistic and maybe even naive to some people, but I don't know, man. I think this stuff matters. Like remembering that people are people, that they're all image bearers, that they all have dignity. Like we need more spaces where that is remembered, and where even business interests kind of, there are businesses that keep that in mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That don't just treat people as objects and for their value. Somehow both those things can be true at once, I think is one of the things this movie wants us to think about.
Yeah. And because we frequently ask, what's this going to cost me?
Yeah.
If I do this.
Yeah.
And that's the big scare tactic is, we can't have people coming in to the US because they're going to steal our jobs. They're going to make it unsafe and all this. And that could be immigrants. That could be people of a lower poverty level or lower economic status. Charlotte, we talked about this with San Antonio about the poverty level. Charlotte has one of the worst upward mobility in the nation. Like, you get stuck in poverty, you're staying there. Unless someone like George Bailey comes along and is like, I'm not doing it to make money. I'm doing it because it's the right thing to do. And I'm not trying to hold on to what I have. The freaking honeymoon money. They show up. And what's awesome is his wife suggested it, which what an alignment of hearts that is. But she's like, no, these people are more important than our honeymoon.
Yeah. It's amazing. I every time that I see that scene, I'm like, would I do that? I don't know, man. I might be like, I would go to Paris. Like, that's a tough one. That's a real sacrifice that I think we can all relate. Like, that's a good, what would you do in this moment kind of question. I mean, the whole community is about to crumble, but I just don't think there are many people, because that train is right there. Like, they're on their way to the train station. They're like 3 minutes away from leaving this all behind.
Right.
And it changes their whole lives,
Right. And like, what happens, the reverse, if that happens 3 minutes later, they're on the train and George comes back and the building and loan is gone and Potter's taking over their railroad. Like, again, there is what is it going to cost me if I don't do this?
Yeah.
Like, what's it going to cost me if I, get angry at my grandson for, because he's out of school for the day or he's delayed, and like, or what's it really going to cost me to give that grace to that person?
Yeah.
To give understanding to that person, to treat them like a human being.
Yeah.
And not as a transactional, what can you do for me sort of thing.
Yeah.
Because there's a way, like, this whole idea of transactional, just because what you see in this movie is George making deposits in everyone's life. Not financially all the time, but emotionally. He sees them, whether it's Mr. Gower after his son died, or Mr. Martini as not just a Italian immigrant, but a man who deserves his own home. Harry as a man who deserves a chance. And you don't really see the resentment of Harry got to go off. Harry got to go to, Harry went off and did all these things in the war, and George had to stay home because of his ear. And you see some resentment, but never directed at Harry. It was all sort of inward.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
And it makes us sort of want to be like George.
Yeah, I mean, this movie is, among other things, a kind of depiction of suffering well. Because you can go through those exact same things and absolutely live in blame and accusation, or drink, or whatever you might do in response to that kind of stuff. Instead, I'm not saying he doesn't necessarily always suffer well. We see him suffering poorly. We do see him taking it out We see moments of rage. We see him willing to end his own life. He's imperfect for sure. But by and large, I think we see someone who just is kind of going through life's disappointments that we all go through about as well as you can, with all the frustration and disappointment and loss, and just kind of keep putting one foot in front of the other. And that's not like always going to be enough. You're going to hit crisis points, but like, I do think kind of middle moments of this movie, you're just seeing someone living an ordinary, extraordinary life, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And so we're going to go to the third anchor scene. Great. Where, we're going to enter after Clarence disappears. George is back out at the bridge, but instead of feeling like he's worth more dead than alive, that's what Potter told him. Like, you've got a life insurance policy of $15,000. You only have $500 of equity. You're worth more dead than alive, which George believes. And then he gets this opportunity to see what life in Bedford Falls would have looked like. What is the real impact of his life? Which is such a gift for somebody to see, because we get lost. My pastor says we can't see the picture inside the frame. And he goes back to that exact same spot on the same bridge. But instead of considering throwing himself over, he's praying. He's like, I want to live. And then he realizes that he's back in the life that he has. And we'll go from there.
Awesome.
Bert, do you know me?
Know you? You kidding? I've been looking all over town trying to find you. I saw your car piled into that tree down there, and I thought maybe you... Hey, your mouth's bleeding. Are you sure you're all right?
What you... My mouth's bleeding, Bert! My mouth's bleeding! Zuzu's pedals! Zuzu... There they are! Bert! What do you know about that? Merry Christmas!
Well, Merry Christmas!
Merry! Merry! Yay! Yay! Hello, Bedford Falls! Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas, George! Merry Christmas, George!
Merry Christmas, movie house! Merry Christmas, Emporium! Merry Christmas, you wonderful old building and loan! Hey! Merry Christmas, Mr. Potter!
Happy New Year to you! In jail. Go on home, they're waiting for you.
Well, hello, Mr. Bank Examiner. How are you?
Mr. Bailey, there's a deficit.
I know, $8,000.
George, I've got a little paper.
I'll bet it's a warrant for my arrest. Isn't it wonderful? I'm going to jail. Merry Christmas. Reporters. Oh, where's Mary? Mary! Oh, look at this wonderful old drafty house. Mary! 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 Have you seen my wife?
Merry Christmas, Daddy!
Kids! Pete! Oh, kids! Janie, Tommy! Let me look at you. Oh, I could eat you up. Where's your mother?
She went looking for you. With Uncle Billy. Daddy!
Zuzu, my little ginger snap. How do you feel?
Fine. Not a smidge of temperature.
Not a smidge of Hallelujah.
Hello. George,
Mary.
darling, where are you? George, darling, where are you? Oh, George, George.
Let me touch you. Are you real?
George.
Well, you have no idea what's happened to me.
I have no idea what happened. Well, come on, George, come on downstairs. Quick, they're on their way.
All right.
Come on in here now. Now you stand right over here by the tree. Right there, and don't move. Don't move. What's happening? Oh, I hear them coming now. George, it's a miracle. It's a miracle.
What's happening? Who's gonna come, Daddy?
George Mary did it. She told some people you were in trouble, and they scattered all over town collecting money. Didn't ask any questions, just said, George in trouble. Tell me, idiot.
What is this?
Like it spread like fair.
Another run on the bank? Here, George. Merry Christmas.
Now, don't push. There we are. The line forms on the right. The line forms on the right. Come on, come in, George. Merry Christmas. God bless you. Oh, Mr. Martini. Here's Martini. Step right up there. You'll all get up. I busted the jukebox, too. Oh, Mr. Gower. I made the rounds of my charge account.
George, I changed my mind.
I've been saving this money for a divorce if ever I get a husband. Here you are, George. I got the faculty all left out of it. Here's some beautiful.
I wouldn't have a roof over my head if it wasn't for you, George.
Just a minute. Quiet, everybody. Quiet. Now get this. It's from London.
Oh.
Mr. Gower cabled you need cash. Stop. My office instructed to advance you up to $25,000. Stop. Hee-haw and Merry Christmas, Sam Wainwright.
The fool flew all the way up here in a blizzard.
Oh, Harry, how about your Bedford in New York?
Oh, I left right in the middle of it. As soon as I got Mary's telegram. Good idea, Ernie. A toast. To my big brother, George, the richest man in town.
You know, I've never seen these scenes in color before. Like I've never watched the colorized version, and they're beautiful. I like looking at them this way, but like it's uncanny because I'm like, oh yeah, they colorized this thing. I totally forgot that they did that.
All right, so as George was running through the town, Merry Christmas, cheering all the things that he used to sort of silently resent. I thought of that tension, that different tension with a similar reaction with Scrooge. Right, of A Christmas Carol, where it's a story of two men who wake up, who have this, as you said, the dream sequence, these supernatural interventions.
Yeah.
But on the one hand, you've got Scrooge, who's actually would be Potter in this scenario.
Yeah.
But I think one of the reasons that it hits so hard is because we can understand Potter needing salvation. He's obviously the wicked bad guy in this movie, just like Scrooge. And it's really easy to forget that sometimes, if, to pull the analogy over, this would be like Bob Cratchit saying, hey, you know what? We see you too. And that's what happens for George in that moment, is that guy who's given his heart and his soul and his life to the town.
Yeah.
And then sort of wakes up and realizes, wait, I actually love these people. He forgets it, I think.
Yeah. I think he forgets that he has value to them, that he is inherently valuable. We've been talking about how he sees other people that way and he treats them as people with dignity, but I think he does lose touch with his own dignity in face of failure and disappointment. And I think that he just despises his life, right? I mean, he just hates, he had pretty simple and pretty basic, obvious dreams. I want to travel. I want to build things. It's just kind of undefined ambition, maybe be an architect, but it's not really all that clear. He just has a travel bug and a sense of ambition, but it's mostly just an ache to be someone that he's not, and to go places that he has a hard time getting to. And has one disappointment after another. And then when a real crisis comes and there's no way out of this thing, with Potter and the money is gone. And I think he's just like, I might as well just, end it all. Like there's nothing else for me to live for anyway, and he loses sight of the things that he has built and the people who are around him. It's funny how the build up to this is, he comes home, after him and Billy can't find the funds that they need, and they're going to get in big trouble. And he's like, we all know what it's like to come home at the end of a day and the kids are doing their thing and they need help with homework and, dinner is underway. There's guests that are coming over later. Really? We're having people over? All that stuff. That's so familiar. And you just see him losing his mind. He can't, the kid's like, can you help me how do I spell frankincense? That kind of stuff. I know the end, any Tuesday could be that way when you just come home and there's just people. You've been meeting demands all day. Work has been very stressful, and now there's more demands to meet. And so there's a part of that is just very familiar. And this whole I think part of the reason that the ending of this sequence pays off. The ending really, the last act of this movie kind of begins when George is alone. He's left his family. He's like, I got to get out of here. I can't take this anymore. I've embarrassed myself and myself in front of my wife and kids. And he goes along to the bar to have a drink, and that kind of clears his head. And he ends up praying, alone at the bar, asking God, I don't know what to do. I'm at the end of my rope. Dude, I don't know what I'm praying for, but send me help somehow. Just tell me what to do, God. Please show me a way out. Mm-hmm. I've prayed that prayer. You know what I mean? Right. There's no answers. I'm in a very narrow place. And I've read about how that scene, this is a bit of a film nerd comment, but how that there's something, I can't really see it, but apparently it's a little bit out of focus. So there's a portion of it that's out of focus, or that a part of it that Capra wasn't satisfied. So they filmed that scene twice. But the first time they shot it, Stewart was fully in the moment. He's crying, he is feeling those words, in a really profound way. And kind of the lore is that he had come back from the war. He had what we would now call PTSD. And, I think he wasn't even sure he wanted to make movies anymore until he read this script and decided to give it a chance. But, like I said before, he has never acted this kind of character before, that's this desperate. But all that just works, you know what I mean? We're just seeing a man at the end of his rope, and it gets so low that this kind of big emotional payoff that people kind of make fun of now, the running through the streets and Merry Christmas and all that. It's a lot. Yeah. But it really works. And it's not too much. If you just watch this clip by itself, it might feel a little bit over the top. But in the context of the movie, this is really earned, I think,
Right. Because he's gone from, I prayed and I got punched in the mouth. A lot of good prayers did.
Yeah.
Again, we've all been there.
Totally.
He's gone to Potter, asking the last place that he knew got rejected.
Yeah.
He's at the lowest point he's ever been. He's become he's basically in his own potter's field. He's confined by his circumstances.
Yep.
And he can't get out.
Yep.
And then to see, well, this is what it would have looked like. And to see, it's interesting because in every scene with Mary, she's got this glow and this filter. And his mom says, she comes to life. She lights up every time you walk in the room, George. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But you see the Mary that comes out of the library, and she's timid and no glow, just dark. In seeing that, I was like, wait, my kids who I love aren't here.
Yeah.
Uncle Billy, who I love, is in the insane asylum. My mom is a hatchet-faced old woman who's harsh.
Yeah.
All these things that he actually sort of realizes he loves are gone or distorted. And it's just to wake up from that dream, right? It come out from the dark and into the light. You know, what other reaction would we have but to run through the streets? Merry Christmas, you old emporium.
Yeah. And I love that the prayer that he prays on the side of the bridge is, I want to live again.
Yeah.
Like, please, God, I want to live again. Not like I want my life back or help me wake up or whatever. Like, I love the specificity of that. Like, I want to go back into the life that I thought I hated, and I'm ready to love it now. You know, I'm ready to be in that life. I mean, that there's almost like there's a small kind of that renewal that we kind of have to do all the time, you know, where you develop small resentments of your family or your work or whatever. And you kind of have to get back to, actually, I do want this life. I'm going to keep choosing to be in this life. And I think that because we relate to it on that kind of minor emotional level, you know, seeing it played out in this kind of grand way is just so powerful. Part of what I love about when George gets home in this sequence is that this is if you watch this again and just like pay attention to Jimmy Stewart's performance, he touches people. In fact, when Bert comes up to him, the cop Bert, and tells him that his mouth's bleeding, he's like touching Bert's chest. Like, are you and
real?
then when he's home, he's like, he keeps asking, are you real? Are you real? And he keeps kissing over and over. Like, Mary's trying to talk to him. You won't believe what's happened. And he's just like focused on kissing her. And he kisses very awkwardly in this movie. That's a running joke. He presses his face really hard against her, you know. But anyway, and then when she's putting him behind the table and about to start welcoming guests, he keeps doing that. He just like keeps leaning over and kissing his wife and his kids. Like he's been resurrected and he's in love, you know, with this real life that he has, the physicality of it, the tactile nature of it. And I mean, I love that, like, you know, decision to kind of perform it that way. That feels very relatable to me.
Yeah. I just think I would love to see, like, what do the next 5 years of George Bailey's life look like?
Right.
Like, there's issues, there's consequences, there's things, but there's like, he's seeing it in a whole new light.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I guess your hope, right, is that he can settle in and like live in Bedford Falls as the king of Bedford Falls, but not acting like it, you know, just being a blessing to that town. A part of also what's great about that running sequence is that he's like, Merry Christmas, Emporium, Merry Christmas, you know, lovely, miserable beautiful old building and loan, like these things that he's hated.
Right.
You know, there's a scene earlier where Potter tells him, like, you almost hate the building and loan even more than I do. And George doesn't disagree. Like, he really does despise the place. But then when he runs through the streets, he's like saying blessings upon, you know, the very things that he was resenting before. And they've also been resurrected for him, you know, like it's really beautifully done.
Well, Patton, thank you for bringing this in. And I think, like, as a close, so like the idea of the call to action, right, is how can we apply this to our lives?
Yeah.
Yeah. Without going in. And one of the things I think is like realizing that one day our story will be known like that. Like one day, you know, at the wedding feast of the Lamb, you know, our story will be known. We'll know why these things happened. We'll see all these things and why we had to live the lives we had and the impact. We're going to have people that will come up to us and say, this really changed my life when you did this. And you're like, I don't even remember doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Because all these things, like, I wouldn't have a roof over your head if it wasn't for you. And, you know, the guy who wanted all his money at the bank thing came up. And, and I think, like, typically we think, you know, part of the fall was you're gonna work really hard to scratch out a living. And so our instinct in our fallen nature is to make life work. If I just work hard enough, I can accomplish my dreams. Yeah. I can get this. We resent everything that comes against it. And I know that because I feel that way. I resent things that I actually love.
Yeah.
And so I want to notice when I feel that resentment flare, where is it coming from and what's it keeping me from?
Mm-hmm.
And that's how, what sort of currency are we using?
Mm-hmm.
It's like financially, George Bailey was not the richest man in town, but he was relationally. And you saw that the outpouring was expressed in money, but even the words of, yeah, this is what you mean to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What I always take away and want to kind of lean into after watching and reflecting on this movie is like, we've been talking about how there's kind of two tracks of story. One is the story of like personal renewal that the movie builds towards, and the other one is community strength. And I think part of what like a good life is attending to both of those things at once. You know, you have to care for yourself. You have to make sure that you are learning to love what you've been given to love, in spite of your disappointments, while also, being alert to what's happening in my community. What are the powers that are in play? How am I negotiating with or against, those powers? And this movie puts me inside of both those things and makes me want to, pay attention to that in my own world.
Yeah, that's so good because we're not, as Jesus said, we're not meant to hide a light. We're called to put it on a hill so everybody can see it.
Yeah.
But we have to be lit first.
Right. Correct.
So, Patton, if people wanted to know more about the work that you're doing or the stuff that you've written, what would be the best place for them to get in contact with that? And kind of the other part of that question is, what would you like to share about the work that you're doing and stuff? Because I think it kind of resonates with this movie so hard.
Yeah, I'll give you a couple URLs. You can go to pattondodd.com, and it's real simple, but get an entry into some of my writing and a memoir that came out last year about fatherhood issues, which tells some of my story and my dad's story and father figure stories and my own story of becoming a father. And then in San Antonio, my work is all rooted at the H.E. Budd Foundation, particularly a program that we run called Know Your Neighbor. If you go to knowyourneighbor.com, you can, see the stories that we're trying to tell about San Antonio, our place, the history of this place, and how it gave rise to the opportunities and lack thereof, for different families in our city. And we're just trying to help people understand, where they're rooted and who their neighbors are and what their stories are. And check out all that stuff. I also have a Substack. If you just look up Patton Dodd at Substack, you can find that, and I update that a couple times a month.
Nice. Yeah, and we'll have all those links in the show notes or the YouTube description, wherever that is, and definitely go check him out and support the work that you're doing there with the Know Your Neighbors. I think that's so cool.
Great. And awesome.
And if you're in the San Antonio area, check him out.
Yeah, look me up. Let's talk.
So awesome. So not Christmassy, not Christmas time at least, but this has been Patton Dodd and Paul McDonald talking about It's a Wonderful Life. I hope you guys realize that the life you have, whatever it is wonderful, and can sit in that and rest in that and receive that from God. So that's a wrap. Thank you once again to Patton. He did not know he was going to be the last guest on the Men at the Movies podcast here on Spotify and Apple. Like I said, we'll keep going. We'll keep the party going there on YouTube. But thank you really to every person, man and woman, who've been a guest on the podcast, who've participated, who've encouraged me. I got something out of every conversation. And so just thank each and every one of you. I could go through a name, and that'd be a long list. And so you just have to know that you were thanked. And so check us out on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@MinuteTheMovies. Check out my book, Unlock Your Story, How the Movies We Love Reveal the Key to Our Future, on Amazon. And check out the platform, unlockyourstory.org, to discover what your stories are trying to tell you about the story God is inviting you into. So this has been Paul McDonald. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope to see you next time, wherever that is, for Men at the Movies and Unlock Your Story.
Something inside has been awakened. I can no longer be who I was before. But if I am no longer who I was, who am I to be?